All right, welcome back. Last time we started to unpack this idea that our players aren't just being random. Today, we're going to get into the heart of it. Why your players aren't random, they're responding to your design. This is part 2, all about the feedback loop and your design levers. So, here's what we're going to cover today. First, a quick recap of our big idea: player behavior is feedback. Then we'll break down something called the player feedback loop. It's running at your table whether you know it or not. After that, we get to the good stuff, the 4 big levers you can actually pull as a DM. We're talking spotlight, consequences, clarity, and relevance. We'll wrap up with a huge mindset shift before I give you a little preview of what's coming up next time.
Okay, so let's start with a quick recap. The big idea here is simple, but it changes everything. Player behavior isn't chaos, it's feedback.
See, from their side of the screen, your players are constantly learning how your world works. They're figuring out what matters, what doesn't, and honestly, what they can just safely ignore.
Which, leads us to the big question for today. What exactly are they responding to?
And maybe even more importantly, what tools do you actually have as a dungeon master to help shape what they respond to?
Well, the answer lies in something I call the player feedback loop. And the thing is, this loop is running at your table right now, whether you've designed it or not.
It's a pretty simple cycle, right? You present the world. Then, the players make a choice. The world responds to that choice. And here's the key: the players learn from that response. Then, they make their next choice based on what they just learned. That response, not what you intended, but what actually happened, is what teaches them how to play your game.
So think about it like this. If your players follow a clue and it leads to real progress, or it clarifies the mystery, or it just unlocks cool new choices, their brain learns, hey, this is worth doing. But if they bite on a plot hook and it just goes absolutely nowhere, makes things more confusing, and feels like a total waste of their time, they learn, okay, let's not do that again.
And this is the key takeaway, the thing that happens over a long campaign. Over time, players stop engaging with your cool ideas. They start engaging with the patterns they've learned at your table.
Okay, so if that's the feedback loop, how do you influence it? Well, you have these levers you can pull. Let's talk about the first 2, spotlight and consequences.
So what is Spotlight? It's not what you think. It's not just about your beautiful descriptions. Spotlight is about what reacts. You can describe 10 incredible locations in amazing detail, but if only one of them actually changes or responds when the players do something, guess where they're going to go? When an NPC asks them questions, remembers things they did last session, and actually follows up on their actions, what does that tell the players? It tells them this person matters. It's the same for location. If a place changes over time, if the situation there escalates because of what the players did or didn't do, they'll assume that location is important. And don't forget, silence is also a response. A lack of reaction teaches them just as much. All right, lever number 2, consequences. And gotta be honest, this is where a lot of us DMs can accidentally teach our players the wrong things. Ignoring a plot hook has 0 effect on the world, players learn it was optional. And if grabbing a plot hook only ever leads to danger and confusion with no payoff, well, they learn to stop grabbing those hooks. But here's the thing. Consequences don't have to be harsh or punishing. They just need to be legible. That just means a player can clearly connect the dots. They can say, oh, okay, because we did X, that's why Y happened. Or, wow, because we didn't deal with that problem, it actually got worse. That's it. That's the feeling of a world that's alive.
Okay, let's move on to our next 2 levers, clarity and relevance. And this first one, clarity, leads us to a bit of a hard truth, especially for those of us who love creating deep, complex mysteries.
See, players don't actually hate mysteries. What they hate is unclear stakes. A mystery where they feel like they're making no progress just feels like failure to them, even if you, behind the screen, know they're on the right track.
So the solution isn't to get rid of mystery. It's to give your players partial clarity. They don't need the whole answer dropped in their lap. They just need confirmation, a little breadcrumb that tells them, yes, you're on the right path. That's what keeps curiosity going.
Okay, but of all the levers we've talked about, this last one, this is the most powerful, by far. It's personal relevance. Because at the end of the day, what do players really care about? They care about their characters, their backstories, the choices they've made, and what happens because of those choices.
So think about it. When a plot hook isn't just some random quest, but it connects directly to a character's history, or challenges a belief they hold, or involves a choice they made 3 sessions ago, the entire conversation at the table shifts. It stops being,
So, should we follow this? And it becomes, how are we going to deal with this? It's not demanding their attention, it's earning it.
When you put all of these levers together, it leads to this really important mindset shift, a different way of looking at your prep and your game.
You need to stop asking yourself that frustrating question, why won't my players engage? And instead, start asking the more empowering and useful question, what has my game taught them to engage with? Your players are always telling you what your design rewards. You just have to learn how to listen.
So that's the what and the why. In our next explainer, we're going to get super practical and talk about the how.
I'm going to walk you through exactly how to design scenes that are built to react to player choices. We'll talk about how to guide the party's focus without it feeling like railroading. And we'll even cover how to gently redirect the party when they're heading off track without breaking that immersion. We're going to move from theory to actual techniques you can use at your very next session. Hope to see you there.